What's going on, guys, and welcome back to F1 2021 My Team Career Mode for Season 2, Round 16, the United States Grand Prix. We start this one with a bit of a marketing facility kind of event thing going on here. We're going to decline this offer because accepting it, I think, is going to just, it's not really going to work. I think just declining it's going to work better. For activities, we're going to do some more reaction training for our teammate Fernando Alonso. We're going to do a title sponsor little thing there, and also a team building exercise too to get the morale up. We have got a durability upgrade come through for this race weekend. We're going to put a new powertrain upgrade on the car, and we're also going to change the resource point rate for me, the player. We're going to put it to reduce because I feel like I'm getting resource points a bit too quickly and perhaps getting up the order a bit too quickly. So I'm going to change that to reduced just for myself to see how that impacts things. As you can see here, R&D, we're still second behind Mercedes, but we're now right on top of them. But literally the top 5 teams, my team, Mercedes, McLaren, Ferrari and Red Bull, are so close to each other on R&D. And then it's kind of just behind us is the next 5 of Alpine, Alfa Romeo, Williams, Aston Martin, and I can't remember what the other team is. I'm completely off the top of my head, I don't know. And then you've got Haas on their own at the back. So yeah, on to qualifying Q1. I did make it through Q1 not massively easily, to be honest. To be fair, this lap wasn't an amazing lap that I did in Q1. Definitely not my best lap of this circuit. Circuit of the Americas is a track that I really do like, but it's not one of my quickest tracks. The first sector, I mean, it's always those S's sort of sections, you know. You've got it in Silverstone, you've got it at Suzuka, this track, Mexico as well. A lot of those tracks that have those crazy S's, I get it, you know, that definitely lost me a lot of time through the second to last corner there. Those S's sections are really difficult to get right. So that's where I lose most of my time here, but we get through to Q2 just about. P14 though, so we're right on the cusp. Fernando Alonso only in P9 as well, but you have to remember the top 10 drivers, top 5 teams, are so close to each other on R&D and on speed and on pace that, you know, getting into the top 10 itself could be difficult, especially getting towards the top of the top 10, because it is just such a close, tight pack. On to Q2, and we came into a little bit of an issue here. As I go on for my final quick lap, Lewis Hamilton ends up just coming out of the pits as I'm coming on to start this final lap. And although I am green, I am in the positive through this first sector because I didn't have a great run through here on my previous fastest lap. I think I did lose a bit of time to Hamilton here, maybe through this corner here as well, just the dirty air and just having him in front of me. I do have the advantage of getting slipstream off him down the back straight, and he does a good job of making sure he's, well, I say he does a good job, he kind of just sits there on the racing line and I've got to go around him, but it's not the end of the world. So I do get a bit of a boost from him down the straight there, but definitely lost a little bit of time to him in the corners. And then we've got one of the Alpines in front of us here, which isn't too close to us at the moment, but once again, I don't think he's actually on a quick lap right now, and at the pace where we are behind him right now, we're probably getting a little bit of dirty air from him. So although this is a much quicker lap time than my previous best lap time, that previous best lap time wasn't a great lap anyway. So we come to cross the line here, and it's going to be a decent position to start with, position P7, but after everybody else has done their runs, we end up P12. We're knocked out of Q2. We don't make it through to Q3. Alonso only just makes it through in P9. So yeah, interesting to see what this race is going to be like, starting P12.
Here we are then in one of the fastest growing cities in the United States, the fabulous Austin, in the great state of Texas. The circuit itself 14 miles southeast of the city centre and home to the US Grand Prix since 2012. The latest in a long list of iconic tracks to have that honour. We're racing today then in Travis County, Texas, around the 20 corners of the wonderful Circuit of the Americas. We'll be reaching speeds of around 200 miles an hour, and there are plenty of good opportunities to pass, especially through the 2 DRS zones into turn 1 and the very long back straight into turn 12. Anthony Davidson joins me again for the race today. Let's talk briefly about Lando Norris. That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Sainz, Sergio Perez, and Giovinazzi. Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Ocon, and Shaw. Bottas, Vettel, Christian Lundgaard, and Verstappen. Tsunoda, Russell, Daniel Ricciardo, and Lance Stroll. Raikkonen, Mick Schumacher, Mazepin, and Nicholas Latifi. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So we are starting P10 on the grid after a couple of grid penalties in front of us, so we're in the points to start with to 5 red lights. They're on for quite a long time, but now we're underway for the United States Grand Prix in Season 2. We get a fairly poor start actually. We actually have Valtteri Bottas in the Williams alongside us, but we're alongside Ocon into turn 1, but there's a yellow flag behind us and Mick Schumacher is out of the session, and straight away we've actually got to let Ocon through. We got past him, but it was an illegal overtake, so we ended up overtaking him through the yellow flags, and there's a virtual safety car out after one corner. So this is actually the first time we've had a turn 1 incident like this, but have a looking at the replay here. Oh, that's one of the Hasses in the background. There must be Mick Schumacher because it said that he has gone out of the session, so let's watch him here. He gets a very good start compared to the Alfa Romeo and the Aston Martin in front. He goes to dive to the left as Stroll moves to the right and just goes straight into the back of him and loses his front right wheel. We look at Nikita Mazepin's point of view behind. You can just see Stroll moves to the right to get in line with the other cars. Schumacher tries darting to the left to get a nice little pounce on the Aston Martin, and it just doesn't work for him, and that is Mick Schumacher out of the race in turn 1. The virtual safety car comes to an end just before we get onto lap number 2, right at the end of lap 1, and we're back going once again. So it wasn't a full safety car, only the virtual safety car, but now we're right at the back of Ocon. We're trying to have a little look. Bottas is really putting some pressure on us behind. He's in the Williams and he's in P11 right now, doing a great job, might I say. He got through to Q2 and has also had a couple of positions, been put up a couple of positions thanks to grid penalties in front. I mean, to be honest, the Williams isn't ridiculously slow now. They are well in that kind of mid-pack group, I guess you can call them. You've kind of got the top group, which is of 5 teams, and then the mid-pack is of another 5 teams, and then you've got Haas just on their own at the bottom. Williams are, I think they're actually above Alfa Romeo and maybe even another team like Aston Martin, I'm not sure, but they're really not doing that bad at the moment. But as we carry on here, on to lap number 5. We've had DRS for a couple of laps here, but haven't been able to do anything with Esteban Ocon in front. It's just a little bit of a DRS train right now. This section here, so difficult, near impossible to overtake, especially for me, because I'm just not very quick through this sector. But, you know, definitely getting better at it, but still my weakest on the track for sure. As we now go down the back straight, this is probably the main overtaking opportunity other than the front straight into turn 1. We're actually changing from a 2-stop strategy to a 1-stop strategy here. My team think we can go from softs to mediums. End of lap 5, we look at Sebastian Vettel. He's in a bit of a group of cars here, but he's just, I think, had an issue there. Yes, he is. He's slowing right down. Very near accident for Christian Lundgaard in the Alpine there, as Sebastian Vettel is going to be retiring from the session with an engine failure, just trying to keep out of everyone's way here, right on the inside of the track. It's right where he needs to be, not a problem there, but oh, what's that? One of the Alfa Romeos has gone straight into Vettel, and then a Williams as well. That must be Nicholas Latifi's gone in too, as we watch on from Kimi Raikkonen here. He just turns to the left, goes straight into the back of Sebastian Vettel. Kimi Raikkonen is out of the session. Nicholas Latifi following behind just jerks as well and goes straight into the back of Raikkonen. That's 3 cars out in one instance there. Vettel retiring from the session and Raikkonen and Latifi both crashing into the back of one another in a bit of a concertina effect. you see that quite a bit in this game. A car is off to the side retiring, and for some reason that car stays out of the way, but other cars behind just for some reason decide to turn in and crash into the car. It's a really weird thing that the AI do. So we're already at this point coming into the pits this lap, because might as well come into the pits now. There's a full course safety car, 7 laps in, and already we've had 4 cars out of the race. So definitely a hectic race here. We're actually changing back onto a 2-stop again, so we changed from a 2-stop to a 1-stop earlier in that lap where Vettel had the crash, but then we thought, well, we might as well come in here because we can come in under the safety car, but I think the best option is to go for a 2-stop. So we go back to the 2-stop again. We're onto another set of soft tyres. As the lights go green, we're actually way at the back of the grid. We're literally dead last out of the current drivers because we had to double stack with Alonso. He was in front of us, so we lost a lot of time in the pits. So now we are 18th and dead last place. So we're going to hopefully try and make our way through the field, and to be fair, there were quite a lot of cars did come in. Most cars came in, but not everybody came into the pits. As we have a little look on the inside of Ricciardo into the next corner, he is in P17, way down the order, starting quite a bit further back because of a grid penalty, but also just, yeah, must have double stacked with Norris and come out worse, as one of the Hasses, I think it's got to be Nikita Mazepin, comes into the pits. We're going to have a good old dive on Daniel Ricciardo. It's almost a Daniel Ricciardo style dive bomb, and we're up the inside, but he's still there looking on the outside. He's going to follow us through here, but through this next section it's very, very scary. I'm just going to absolutely floor it and turn in as late as I can, and we've got the position from Ricciardo. We're up into P16 now with Mazepin coming in. And this is when we've got to try and make our way through the order. So we've got Yuki Tsunoda, the next car up ahead of us. He should be easier to overtake than Ricciardo. Not as quick of a car and not as good of a driver as you've got Bottas, I think that is, just up ahead trying to fend off Max Verstappen. As we have now got the ERS, no DRS deployed at the moment because of the safety car. It's not come back yet, but we're going for a move up the inside of Tsunoda with ERS and with the slipstream. We're going to try and brake later than him, but he brakes pretty late too. It's side by side through this next part of the corner, but we've just about managed to make it stick before getting to the next right-hander, and we're now up into P15, which is now P14 after some more people come into the pits, and it's Verstappen, the next car ahead of us. He's getting caught up quite a lot by Valtteri Bottas in the Williams and really wanting to make his way past. Of course, he is somewhat of a title contender here, definitely in that battle for third in the Drivers' Championship. And now going on to lap number 12, we've got DRS available now. We're doing the ERS, we've got the slipstream on Verstappen, and we're going to have a little look up the inside into turn 1. We dive our car to the inside, but he manages to kind of keep the momentum going and keep it around the outside. My team wants to come in 1 lap later for the medium tyres, so we're going to go ahead and say we'll do that. Couldn't quite get Verstappen at that point, but then we've got the next overtaking opportunity, the back straight, and once again DRS is open. We have got the slipstream, but it's actually Verstappen going for a move on Nicholas Latifi up ahead of us. Those two are side by side, not Nicholas Latifi, Valtteri Bottas up ahead of us. Those two side by side, and I'm just here kind of stuck behind them. Can I cut in behind Bottas, alongside Bottas there? No, I can't. Verstappen's managed to make the position on Valtteri Bottas, so now we've got the Williams sat in front of us, and at the end of this lap we are now gonna have the DRS on Bottas and use our ERS, and we're a much quicker car than the Williams. That car has improved quite a lot this season, but still no match for our car at this point in time. And we have made the move on Valtteri Bottas, and I think we're up into P11 now. As we look further up the grid, this is Antonio Giovinazzi trying to make his way through the order. He has got, I believe it's Esteban Ocon up ahead of him in the Alpine. He's got DRS, Ocon has not, so Giovinazzi's going to go for a move up the inside into turn 1. They're still side by side at this current point in time. Not the greatest camera angle here, but Giovinazzi just about manages to get the move done and is up into a slightly higher position, and he has now got Fernando Alonso, actually my teammate, to go chasing after up ahead. lap number 14, and now it's Verstappen once again in front of us. You can see we've almost got a 2-second gap back to Bottas now, so we definitely do have the pace over the Williams car, which we definitely should on, you know, the same sort of live tyres. As now once again we're looking at a move on Verstappen, but we're a bit too far back. Didn't do a crazy dive this time because we were really too far back to do anything, and we're just going to try and follow him as well as we can through this twisty S's section, and we actually do a pretty good job of that this time. And we're just going to try and follow him down here and potentially go for a move into the next part of the track, but we can't, so it goes on to the next lap of the race. And once again going down to turn 1, we're maybe a little bit closer this time, and we're still trying to get the move done, but he's got DRS on the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz up ahead of him, I believe that is, and once again we just can't quite get the move done just yet, so we're going to have to be a little bit more patient. Next lap around we've gone purple through the middle sector, so showing good stuff, but Verstappen and Sainz both come into the pits there, and so does Hamilton, who is in the lead right now. I think that's Hamilton. No, that's Giovinazzi, who is in the lead because of pit stops and stuff for the cars further ahead. We're going to come into the pits next lap, so depending on how this could go, we could make the overcut work, because I felt like my tyres were still pretty good. That's why I was comfortable to go that lap longer than Verstappen and Sainz and Giovinazzi. Those are kind of the guys we're racing here, but there is the possibility that they could undercut us. That is Giovinazzi up ahead, so he has managed to get ahead of us, but we're going to come out ahead of Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz, and we're actually going to be ahead of the two Alpines of Lundgaard and Ocon as well. So yeah, Verstappen and Sainz getting caught up behind the two Alpines here, and they've been overcut by me, so really awesome that the overcut has worked for me. Speaking of the two Alpines, Ocon is currently behind Lundgaard, his teammate, and he has got the DRS down the back straight. Lundgaard does not, so Ocon's going for a move up the inside into this next corner. Lundgaard is trying to hang it around the outside, but he's on the hard tyres. Ocon is on the medium tyre, so he should be quite a lot quicker, and it's a pretty easy overtake. Lundgaard doesn't really put up much of a fight. At the front of the grid, and Lewis Hamilton is leading the way, still from pole position, but it isn't a massively comfortable lead. The top four all very, very close to each other. You've got Hamilton in first, followed by Leclerc second, Norris third, and Sergio Perez in fourth place. Those four are kind of in a bit of a league of their own. You can see quite a big gap back to fifth place behind them, but yeah, these four, it's still a race for the win for all these four here to see if they can do anything, but at the moment, a little bit too difficult. That Mercedes is quick at this track, and they're just caught in a bit of a DRS train, so not really a whole lot happening overtake-wise or action-wise, but it is cool to see four cars and four different teams as well. You've got Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, and Red Bull all in the top four fighting for the potential win. As we carry on lap number 20 here, we're kind of just in a little bit of no man's land here. We are pulling out a rather large gap to Ocon and Lundgaard behind, and you've still got Verstappen and Sainz and that stuck behind them, so they can't really pose much of a threat for us here unless they get past those Alpines very quickly and then put on a charge. But we're actually on a charge ourselves, trying to close up to Antonio Giovinazzi, so that's the battle we are facing. As then we look at that battle behind us here, you've got Carlos Sainz. He's now right on the back of Christian Lundgaard. He's going to go for a move round the outside into turn 1. He's got the better tyres. He is the quicker car, but it is difficult to overtake if you don't quite... you need a decent pace advantage here, and this time he can't quite get it done, and he's going to just have to settle for to be behind the Alpine at this current point in time, and then down the back straight on that same lap, still can't get anything done. So he really wants to make his way through, because he's got Verstappen and Ricciardo both behind him, two very, very quick cars. As on the next lap, Sainz is going for the move once again on Christian Lundgaard. You can see just up the road, Esteban Ocon making quite a bit of a gap on these guys now. As this time, Sainz has managed to keep it alongside through turn 1, through turn 2, but it comes to the twisty section again and he just has to back out. Lundgaard was putting up a good fight there and wasn't backing out himself, but Sainz thought the better of it. I'm going to back out. I'm not going to risk a bad crash there, because then he's closer for this move here, as this time he goes up the inside off the back straight here, and this time he's got the move done on Christian Lundgaard. very good stuff by Sainz there, obviously realizing that it wasn't going to work out for him trying to go side by side through the S's section, wait until the next DRS zone, and he was close enough then to get the position stuck. He's now up into P10. We're in P8, big gap to Ocon and the rest behind us. We are slowly, and I mean rather slowly, catching Giovinazzi up ahead, who is somewhat also catching Alonso. So it's looking quite difficult. We're on lap 23 at the moment, but it is possible to catch up to them, but I'm going to have to be absolutely concentrating as we now watch on with Fernando Alonso. He's actually got Pierre Gasly up ahead of him, so that might be one of the reasons why he's getting caught by Giovinazzi, because Gasly not as quick. I mean, that AlphaTauri is not as quick as our car and the Mercedes and the Ferraris and all that, but Gasly's doing such a good job at defending and is just generally really quick in that car that it's really difficult for Alonso to make a move. As further down the grid, completely out of the points, George Russell is going to make a move on Lance Stroll. He's gone around the outside off the back straight here. They're going to be side by side through this corner. This is completely out of the points. It's for like P15 or something, but George Russell has got the position done, so more just for bragging rights more than anything. But yeah, definitely a day to forget for Aston Martin. They've been overtaken by an Alfa Romeo, and Sebastian Vettel, of course, out of the race early on. As now we have a look on the final lap of the race. This is Giovinazzi. He's caught right up to the back of Fernando Alonso and Pierre Gasly. You can just see me in the background there. I'm not quite in DRS zone, in DRS range, that's what I was looking for this time round. But this is the final lap of the race, and we are almost within a second now, but there's only a few corners to go. Those three are right next to each other on track. Lewis Hamilton crosses the line to win the United States Grand Prix. We're going to come around the final couple of corners here. We actually get within a second in these final couple of corners, but we can't quite do it. It's P8 for us, P6 for Alonso, so we're beaten by Alonso once again here. Just really difficult to make up positions, and honestly, the safety car helped in a way, but also was a little bit of a hindrance, and it was just, yeah, a bit of a crazy race at the start.
And Mercedes have pulled off a great victory here today. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
So Lewis Hamilton wins the United States Grand Prix to extend his lead in the championship. He's had a couple of wonky races as of late, hasn't had a win for quite some time, to be honest. I don't think he's won since like round 3, Monaco, I think it might have been. He's not won for a long time in this season, and there might have been another one since then, but he's definitely been on the back foot, but he has done good this race. Charles Leclerc comes home second for Ferrari, Lando Norris in third, so good result from them. We end up P8, Alonso P6, 4 DNFs in this race, so really crazy first kind of 10 laps of this race for sure. Lando Norris moves up to third in the championship, so definitely a lot of switching between Norris, Verstappen, Ricciardo and Giovinazzi for third place. Those guys are just switching around so much. We actually end up moving down to 8th in the standings. Alonso is up to 10th, so he's doing a good job. And then Mercedes retake the lead of the Constructors' Championship. Red Bull now in second place. They've dropped their form a little bit over the last few races after having a decent enough start and middle part of the series. And then we are in 4th place still in the standings, but definitely right there with Ferrari in 5th. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.